I feel like concrete, especially concrete materials, not only about the mechanics and physics. You have a lot of chemistry inside. So that's why I feel like, oh, this is great. Because when I was young, actually, I have more. I have to be confessed, I have more interest about learning chemistry instead of physics. So that's why I feel like, oh, this is great. I can combine the chemistry and mechanics and physics, everything together. So this is kind of like the things I got inspired. Hi, and welcome to this month's episode of Engineering Greatness, an original podcast series produced by the American Concrete Institute, ACI. I'm Lingfei Li, Assistant Research Professor at University of Maine, Orno. With me today is Jeff.
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Shijun Jeff Shi. I'm an assistant professor at Texas State University.
So welcome to the podcast. Let's begin by discussing, probably you can tell us a little bit more about your educational background or what inspired you to study civil engineering.
Okay, yeah. So, well, I originally came from China. I went to undergrad in China. Actually, the university is called Southeast University. Then after my bachelor degree, I came to United States right after my graduation from my undergrad. I went to Texas A&M University. I got my master degree, got my PhD degree, both in materials and also pavements. Then I stayed for another 2 years, also at Texas A&M as a postdoc. Then I became an assistant professor at Texas State in 2020. So the reason I choose civil engineering, I guess, when I was a kid, my hometown the name of my hometown is Suzhou. In the city, we have a lot of rivers. We also have the Yangtze River, which is, I believe, the third longest river in the world. So we do have a lot of bridges in Suzhou. When I was a kid, my parents often took me visit a few bridges. So I was fascinated by those big structures. So that's why I developed interest in studying civil engineering. Also, both of my parents are engineers. My mother is a mechanical engineer and my father is a chemical engineer. So they wanted me to be in the engineering field. So I guess that's the reason I choose civil engineering. So yeah, how about you, Lingfei? Can you please tell us about your educational background and also why did you decide to study civil engineering?
So I think probably I have a very similar background, educational background as you. Like I attended my undergraduate in China from Qingdao Technological University. And then after I finished my bachelor, actually I worked for a consulting company for a year. And then after that, for some reason, I made the decision, decided to come to US, study my master and PhD, and also my postdoc at the same university, University of Colorado Boulder. So that's why I got trained and learned for being a civil engineer. But talking about the inspiration of being a civil engineer, well, it's about like when I was in the middle school. I don't have a clear memory, but I was in high school, middle school or high school. At that time, I played a video game. It's called SimCity. So that's kind of like things that you can build up whatever you want. So it's a lot of like urban planning work. So at that time, I feel like, oh, this is great. I want to either at least something be related to the architecture or civil engineer. So my first at that time, my first option is going to the architecture school. But the thing is, like, talking about 15 years ago, at that time in China, like if you want to be in an architecture school, you have to do some exam, like do some hand sketching and hand painting work, which is definitely not my expertise. I'm pretty bad at that. So I said, oh, on the other side, why just go to the civil engineering? So which can basically save me a lot of time trying to skill off my definitely not the part of my talent. All right, Jeff. Well, move forward. Probably you can share a little bit about your career process. What brings you to academia?
Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, when I was undergrad student, I already kind of like set up my career goal as staying in academia. Hopefully, I could become a professor either in United States or back in China. So after I got my master and a PhD degrees, I worked with Dr. Zach Gracely as his postdoc at Texas A&M. And I would
Mm-hmm.
say that postdoc experience really helped me build up my resume. And also during my postdoc work at Texas A&M, I started to apply for faculty positions.
Yeah.
Uh, and and also during that time, Texas State University, they started to build up a brand new civil engineering program. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why they had a lot of opening for assistant professors and even for tenured professors.
Yeah.
And I guess I was in Texas. Also, I think I published some papers and also my postdoc experience really helped me. I got a
Yeah.
position at Texas State. That's kind
Yeah.
of how I started become a assistant professor. Uh, yeah, so that's kind of my pathway. How about you, Lin Fei?
All right. My pathway is kind of like back and forth a little bit because I when I finished my postdoc, actually I got an offer from industry. I worked for a company about a year. Its name is Promises Materials. So we're trying to develop something similar like engineering living materials. So we're trying to use macroalgae to replace the cement as a binder, trying to decarbonize the cement concrete industry. So I have to see like, at that time, like I have a really good working environment. Everybody just treats me very well. So we work closely. We eat together and also work together. So finally, when I got this academia position, that was really hard, really hard decision to like move because I've been living in Colorado for over 10 years, but going to Maine, I've never think about that. It's pretty far. I've never been there. But when this that brought back to another story. So when I was doing my postdoc with my postdoc advisor, Dr. Mia Hubler, so at the time, she told me like if I have any crazy ideas, I can just write it down, so I don't have to share with her. But work basically when you work for companies, like you are kind of like narrow down yourself in one topic, focus on one materials. But since when I was a postdoc, I kind of like accumulated a lot of crazy ideas. I just want to see if all the ideas could be explored, like either of some of them will be beneficial to the public, or maybe like impact the whole world. I don't know. So I just want to know the answer. So that's what academia can bring back to me. So that's why 2 years ago, when I was attending a conference, ASE Engineer Mechanics Institute, this is where I met Dr. Eric Landis from University of Maine. So we had a very nice conversation. He told me there will be an opening at the University of Maine, like doing research, being a faculty, especially focused on the concrete materials. I said, oh, this is something I can't refuse. So I going through the process, doing the interview, I finally got selected. So here's where I am.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about let's talk about a little bit deeper. So I know for some reason you choose to become a civil engineer, but civil engineer is quite broad, right? So you have structural engineering, geotech, you have transportation, a lot of different areas. But what made you finally make the decision to be a expertise or a professor of doing like concrete material research?
Well, yeah. So, okay, yeah, I can tell you a little bit more about my background.
Sure.
When I was in China during my undergrad, I actually was admitted to School for Transportation. But in China,
Hmm.
the transportation is very broad.
Yeah.
So my focus was on pavements and bridges. Uh,
Okay.
so, and after I was admitted to Texas A&M, I actually worked on asphalt concrete during my master. Uh, and and also I was a kind of a graduate student assistant at a Texas A&M Transportation Institute for more than 5 years, and I was surrounded by a lot of asphalt people. So at the beginning, my interest or my area was more related to asphalt. But when I started my PhD study degree, my first project for my PhD work was related to fiber reinforced concrete. So that's why I got exposed by concrete materials. Then I got another textile project as my PhD work, and that textile project was related to using recycled asphalt pavement in concrete as an aggregate replacement. So I was still doing asphalt and concrete during that time. But eventually, when I began my postdoc with Dr. Zach Gracely, then I started kind of fully concentrate myself on concrete materials. Now I'm an assistant professor at Texas State. I'm primarily doing concrete materials research. So it's kind of like was due to a different research opportunities. Then I start to work on some concrete related research.
So it seems like you have a pretty diverse background working on different things.
But concrete is my passion. Yeah, I want to work on concrete, and concrete is a very good material to work with. Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, how about you, Lin Fei? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So actually, I have to say, when I came to US pursuing a master's degree at that time, I don't have a clear role, like what kind of program I want to enroll in. I know I'm in civil engineering, the structural engineering mechanics, but I don't have a clear role, like if I want to work on concrete or if I want to work on structures, anything. It's kind of like unknown. But I have to be thankful to my PhD advisor, Dr. Yunping Shi, because he basically brought my interest of doing the concrete research work. Because I feel like concrete is not concrete, especially concrete materials, not only about the mechanics and physics. You have a lot of chemistry inside. So that's why I feel like, oh, this is great. Because when I was young, actually, I have more. I have to be confessed, I have more interest about learning chemistry instead of physics. So that's why I feel like, oh, this is great. I can combine the chemistry and mechanics and physics, everything together. So this is kind of like the things I got inspired when the first project I was working on is about ASR in concrete, alkali silicate reaction. And then after that, since I continuously keep working, diving in this area, I feel like, oh, concrete is actually a very, very complicated material. So it involves too much different things like mechanics of material, like fracture mechanics, like durability issue, like cement chemistry. So tons of different things. I just feel like, oh, probably I can't finish all the work by the end of my life, but this is where I want to pursue. So I love what I did. I love what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. Concrete is a very exciting material. We have a lot of science engineering behind. So yeah, cool.
Sounds good. Yeah, well, here I bring next question here. So it's gonna be a little bit challenging, because let's talk a little bit about your career. Because what brings you to academia? I assume you at that time you also have a hard choice, like if I want to go to academia or if I go to industry, many different choice options or decisions. How did you finally choose to be a professor in university?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think well, my career was a little bit clearly maybe compared to many other people. Like I said, when I was young, I was kind of a I wanted to become a professor eventually, hopefully, but I was lucky to get a faculty position in the United States. So I do have that goal in my mind, and I kind of like during my master, PhD, and my postdoc, I kind of like build up my resume towards that path, and I really want to thank my my postdoc advisor, Dr. Zach Gracely, and I really think he helped me a lot, and he
Yeah.
helped me with how to write strong proposals, how to better communicate with different people. So I really feel like during my postdoc work at Texas A&M, I really like kind of significantly improved my resume. And also like finding a faculty position, a lot of time it's kind of I would say maybe game of luck or something. You need a lot of opportunities. If there was a right opportunity and you was a right person, and you probably can get the position. So during that time, after my PhD study, and I was staying at Texas A&M for 2 years, I kind of like kept myself submitting different type of a bunch of applications for different universities. And during that time, Texas State had a new civil engineering department. So it's not yet department. It was still a program, but we still will get a department soon. But so because of the new program, they wanted to hire a few young professors to join the new program, and I was close. I was at a Texas A&M, so that might be the reason I got a position. So yeah, that's kind of my pathway. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you, Lin Fei?
Well, my career path is a little bit complicated because when I finished my postdoc, at that time I got a job offer basically in the industry. I work for a company called Prometheus Materials, which is kind of like develop some traditionally called engineering-level materials. So, because right now everybody's talking in concrete, cement concrete community, everybody's talking about decarbonization. So we're trying to use the cement-free materials by applying the macroalgae, trying to capture the CO2 through the photosynthesis process, and then create something called carbon active concrete. So this is really great. Actually, I learned a lot from that, and actually everyone over there, we work together, we work closely. Everybody treats me so well. But so, after a year, I moved back to academia. So that was a super hard decision to make because many different reasons. Like I love to work with my previous colleagues, and also I've been living in Colorado for over 10 years. That's why I've never been into Maine before. So this is the first time. So at that time, I was very struggling, but finally, what pushed me forward is that because when I was doing my postdoc, at that time, my postdoc advisor, Dr. Mia Hubler, so he gave me some like advice in my life is that if you have any crazy ideas, just write it down, and then you don't have to share with me. He said just write everything down. But later on, when I was working for a company, I feel like I'm kind of like narrowing down myself, just working on one topics for one type of material. But based on the experience, everything just accumulated when I was doing my postdoc, I have tons of like crazy ideas. I don't know if that will change the world, but at least I want to give a try to see how it will affect my life and also impact to the society. So that's why like talking about 2 years ago, I was attending a conference. It's called ASE AEMI Engineer Mechanics Institute. And that is where I met Dr. Eric Landis. So we had a nice conversation. He said, look, we probably will soon have a position coming out exactly for doing concrete research. Do you have any interest? I said, oh, I just can't say no to academia. So I want to see how my crazy ideas work. So that's why I moved back and then keep writing a lot of proposals, and some of them found it, some of them not, but yeah, it makes me very happy. Yeah, that's the thing. Like right now, I moved from being a student at academia and then move to industry and then come back to academia. I feel like I'm pretty happy, but probably that would not be the case for all the students, but we will see.
Yeah. Different people have different pathway.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, so the next thing I want to talk about is about like what Jeff, what kind of research you're doing right now? So you don't have to share too much details, but
Yeah.
probably you can introduce just briefly of what you are doing right now.
Yeah, I have a couple of projects right now. I think most of a majority of my projects are related to fiber reinforced concrete.
Hmm.
So I do have a very strong interest in using recycled steel fibers
Yeah.
in concrete. And I got a few projects. One is actually is with ACI Foundation, and we are
Oh,
using recycled steel fiber in concrete pavements.
nice.
I also have an active NSF PFI, which is to commercialize concrete containing recycled steel fiber for pipes applications. And I think maybe in the next few years, I'm going to start a NCHRP IDEA project, which is using recycled steel fiber in UHPC. I'm
Hmm.
very excited about that project, and I will be collaborating with Dr. Chen Zhang from Florida State University. So that's kind of a one part of my research, and I also do some waste materials as SCM, or aggregates. So my students are testing, for example, recycled eggshell and make it powder and put it back in concrete as SCM.
It's
I also
interesting.
have some traditional pavement related work with Texas Department of Transportation and New Mexico Department of Transportation.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and Linfei, you and I, we are working on bioconcrete, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
so why don't you talk about your research, and also maybe you can also talk about the bioconcrete project you and I have been working on.
Sure. So it's more like right now I have three projects ongoing. So one of them I started last year is about the DOE funded project. It's about like basically talking about like how to develop like a local sourced, low cost 3D printing concrete. I'm kind of new in 3D printing concrete because when I was doing my PhD and also postdoc as a student, I don't have too much experience on 3D printed concrete, but I'm pretty lucky of getting this project funded by DOE, and then this is a really great opportunity. Like I can learn, and also the student we can learn from each other mutually, and then think about how we can do with like next step of solving the house crisis. I think 3D printing concrete is pretty complicated. There has a lot of things we need to figure out in the future, but I certainly believe this will be the future of the manufacturing. And also other things about like I can share a little bit is about like a project will come in very soon. It's about like my expertise in durability. So right now,
Mm,
not too much people talking about durability, right?
yeah,
So, but I think durability is very important to the industry and to the application.
yeah.
So we have another project coming in. It's about using some main local source material. I don't know if you heard about that before, Jeff. It's about cellulose nanofibril.
Mm,
So it's kind of like sourced from the wood product. So we're going to use that to do some internal curing of like trying to mitigate the shrinkage issue of the concrete, because shrinkage probably is one of the biggest challenges of how to make the concrete survive longer. And the other thing about a bio part, right now I have a project with Penn State, so we're trying to use agriculture waste, also waste material. So we are trying to extract some bio silica from agriculture waste and then make it as alternative SCM in it. Talking about the bioconcrete, I think we're still in the early stage. There are a lot of different things we need to explore. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, very exciting things. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we are moving forward to the next question. I think that's very important to most of the audience. It's like what I'm pretty sure, Jeff, you have faced a lot of challenges in your career. So, and what kind of advice would you have for other young professionals when they experience similar scenario as you?
Okay. Well, for me, I feel like at least right now, the biggest challenge for me is work-life balance.
All right.
If you also have a young kid at home, I have a
Yeah.
little one, which my son is only 3.5 years old.
Yeah.
So he's very energetic, takes a lot of my time and my energy. And also my wife is working full time, also at Texas State University. So
Yeah.
oftentimes I have so much work to do. I need to stay late almost every night, and I do not have time to exercise anymore. So I feel like that's a biggest challenge of me right now. It's how to balance work and life.
Mm-hmm.
My advice, I'm still learning, I'm still adapting myself. But my advice is for a lot of us young people, we sometimes we need to say no to a few people and a few things. As a tenure track professor, assistant professor, we're
Yeah.
always writing proposals, writing papers, and advising students. Sometimes we may need to be more selective, like maybe for some proposals.
Right.
For example, for myself, if some proposals I feel like I do not have very high chance of winning it, I probably will not pursue or spend less time with it. So we need to be more selective
Right.
for the
Right.
opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I would say do not burn out yourself and spend more time with your family, with your friends. Uh, so unfortunately, these months it has been very difficult for me because I have a few close friends and college colleagues they passed away. So and this makes me stop and pause and think about what are the most valuable things of our life. So I
Right.
would say definitely spend more time with your family and with your friends. Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah,
I totally agree with you. Yeah.
yeah, sure. How about you, Lin Fei? Share with us about your challenge and what your advice.
Sure, sure. Yeah, so since you brought like the work-life balance, I obviously like I do appreciate all the effort my wife did to my life because she's I mean after she graduated she just like full-time stay at home taking care of my baby, so that kind of like helped me a lot because you know like being a faculty, yeah, it is kind of busy, like you have a lot of work. It's kind of like uncompleted work, never finished because you know, you're kind of like a fighter for yourself, right? So, but anyway, so a couple of things I've been faced in the past, like I want to bring to the table today. One thing is like if you are at that time that happened to me, like when I was a student or postdoc, like do I need to go to industry or academia? I think that's a very big question and challenge for most of the graduate students. So my advice is that, so probably if you want to go to industry, you're more like doing pure research work. You can fully concentrate on one thing. But this is kind of like, I, I mean, if you're a big fan of doing research, go to industry. And if you are going to academia, I would say it's more like a combination of education and research. You are not only doing research to benefit the public, you are also like trying to um, like cultivate the next generation of the civil engineer. So, well, I would say it's kind of like kind of counterbalance. It really depends on like what is your passion, what is your favorable path of being the future of your career. So, I mean, a lot of people are talking about like industry, you can get a bad pay. That's partially true, but think about like being a faculty, you also kind of like have more flexibility. You don't have to work 9 to 5, right? That's true. Nobody asks you to work 9 to 5. And the other thing I want to mention a little bit is about like I've been facing the challenge as a professional transition because like someday you were a student, but suddenly you become a faculty. So a lot of things you need to learn, and this transition is actually very hard. So getting a really good mentor is very great for your life to pick up the new stuff. So for example, like sometimes like being a I'll give you an example, like a Michael Jordan. Everybody knows that he's a very successful basketball player, but he may not be a good coach, right? So that's why there are a lot of things you need to learn to manage the team, to move the research group like moving forward, and also at the same time like figure out how to be a good educator in the university. So that's a lot of things. So which I personally got a lot of help and benefits from actually the ELA program, Emerging Leader Alliance, which was sponsored by ACI. So I attended that program by the middle of last year, but actually I learned a lot. This is a very good opportunity. You can learn how to manage a team, how to release your stress, a lot of things you can learn. So I highly encourage the young professional to go to the Emerging Leader Alliance, which was sponsored, of course, by ACI.
Okay.
All right,
And
go ahead.
yeah. Okay. So here I think we need to add it. All right. So I think we are running out of the time. So do you want to continue? Maybe get a last question or
Oh,
we.
absolutely. Yeah. So
Right.
the last question, so the last thing I want to bring to the table is that how did you get introduced to ACI and how did you benefit from this?
Okay, so yeah, I became involved with ACI. I think when I was a PhD student at Texas A&M, I was involved in ACI student chapter at Texas
Mm-hmm.
A&M.
Yeah, yeah,
And after that, I kind of got involved with ACI Committee 555, Concrete with Recycled Materials, because I was helping my project PI prepare a draft report for the community. And
yeah,
then since then, I frequently attended ACI conventions, and I got very involved in ACI 555, and now I'm a secretary of ACI 55. So yeah, that's kind of how I got involved with ACI, especially with ACI 555.
awesome.
So I really think ACI helped me a lot. I got opportunities to meet with a lot of people with different background from different either from industry or academia. And also because of the ACI and because of my role with ACI 555, some of people start to know me, know my students, know my work. So I think that's a definite great opportunity for all of
Yeah,
us get involved and showcase our research and make new friends and exchange ideas with different people. Uh,
awesome.
yeah. So how about you, Lin Fei? Yeah.
All right. I have to say, I'm a little bit jealous because when I was a student, I didn't have a chance to attend any ACI conference or like being a member of ACI. And also when I moved to be to the next stage of being a postdoc, at that time, we were having the COVID issue, so I was not be able to attend any conference. But I certainly I chat with some of my friends who work at the academia and said ACI is definitely benefit for you. So that's why, right at the time I joined the ACI last year. So but I have to see like I learn a lot and get so many benefits from ACI. So first, I think first important thing is like, especially doing concrete research work, you can't just stay yourself like in close the door doing the research. You have to everything have to be applicable. So that's why the interaction between the academia and the industry is very, very beneficial. So ACI is kind of like bridge build up the connection between the academia and the industry. So that's why like this is why I learned. I know I kind of like interact with people from industry, and also being a member of ACI, you get the access to all the subscriptions of the standards and publications. I think most of the university they didn't buy the access to the ACI journal, but being the member of ACI, you can have the access to all of them. This is another good benefit. But last but not least, so networking. So attending the conference is so many opportunities like you can network with peers, your colleagues from different universities, and sometimes you can basically have some like brainstorming with each other. So that's why actually the last ACI when I attended at Boston is actually how I developed the ideas and brainstorming with my right now I'm a collaborator at Penn State University. So we're kind of like chat with each other, and then we wrote the proposal together and we got funded. So ACI brought you a lot of opportunities. So definitely, to me, it's like worthwhile to keep attending and also being a member of interacting in all the sessions over there.
Hey, Lin Fei, thank you for chatting with us, and thanks again, everyone, for joining us and listen to this month's episode of Engineering Greatness. Please join us each month as ACI brings together pairs of young professionals in the concrete industry to engage in intimate conversations about their life and work. So, and also please be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And for more information on American Concrete Institute, please visit us online at concrete.org. We will see you next time. Thank you.
See you.